Scrub-a-dub-dub, what's in the tub? What's going on, my Scrubbers? The Scrubanine here with a CCL draft analysis of my team, the Sootopolis Scrubanines. Now, the way we drafted, we were able to draft 2 OU, 3 UU, 4 RU, 4 NU, and then that would be the 13 that we would need. We were allowed to go down to lower tiers, but you couldn't have more than that allotted amount, so I couldn't drop down and pick mons from lower tiers and have 5, like say 5 NU or 5 RU. I can only have that many. I can't have 3 UU, anything like that. The Pokemon that I chose these Pokemon because I really like these Pokemon. I feel comfortable kind of using them. Some of them I've never used before, but I understand how they fit into a team type system. And all of these Pokemon I feel are extremely underrated, so that's kind of why I also pick them, just because I felt like I get them all, and together they make a really scary and cohesive team. So the first one that I was able to select is the one that you see on the screen. It's Mega Diancie. Technically, for the purposes of this league, I don't have to Mega Evolve it if I don't want to, but I probably more often than not will, just because it's so good. As you can see with its stats here, it's so fast, base 110 speed, and it gets such good coverage on the movesets and stuff like that. It's such great typing with the Rock Fairy type, and it's an overall great mon. It gets the ability of Magic Bounce, so I can just straight off lead with it if I think people are going to lead off with Stealth Rocks and try and play any shenanigans on me. Diancie, after Mega Evolving, does lose defense and special defense, I think, so its stats go down. So I'll have to be wary of fast mons that can hit Diancie or Steel types that won't take really anything from Diancie. I mean, Earth Power is a thing, but still, like, a Metagross might eat 1, it might outspeed, Bullet Punch. So that's kind of something that I have to think about. The next mon I have is kind of going along with the same idea as Diancie, and that's Diggersby. Diggersby though? Yeah. I love Diggersby. I think it's such a great mon. With its ability Huge Power, this one has pickup because it's cool and everything, but Huge Power is such a great ability. Boosting the power of moves like that. Diggersby hits so hard. There's so much you can do with Diggersby. So like great coverage moves, and it's terrifying because it has like a slight bit of bulk. Its defenses aren't that great, but it's just bulky enough that it can eat 1 hit and then just destroy everything in its path. And it's 78 speed, it's decent speed, with like helping moves on that. Like once endgame sweeping, things aren't faster than it. It's Wrecking House with its power. And I know between these two mons, I have a lot of common weaknesses, and as you can see coming up into the next one is Mamoswine, which does share the common weakness that the first 3 do share. In ice, well, not ice, water really is the biggest thing, but I'm not really too worried about that. That's something like these mons I felt were some of the most I'm trying to think of a way to describe it. These are some of the most polarizing Pokemon. Like, when you see these Pokemon line up against you on the opposite team, you know you're going to have to sack up mons to these mons. Like, there isn't a battle, I don't think, that we can't go toe-to-toe with every team with these 3 mons, just because of their pure power. It's extremely hyper-offensive minded, but that's kind of like my mindset with these mons. Mamoswine, the obvious Focus Sash set is a thing, but there's also Choice Scarf, Choice Banded. It gets such great coverage, it gets multi-hitting moves, it gets Thick Fat. It's just overall great mon. It gets priority. It's really, really fast. In that mid-range of mons that aren't like super fast, it's one of the best. And I rather enjoy Mamoswine. I love running it. It's a great stealth rocker, especially if you have that Focus Sash on it. You can just stealth rock up, easy mode. And yeah, that's mostly it for Mamoswine. Now, you know I had to pick the mascot. Arcanine had to come along for the team, just because it's my mascot. It's one of the best physical walls in the entire game. I think it's one of the best. Intimidate, Rocky Helmet is monstrous, but this thing is low-key really, really sneaky power, because You can run this thing choice banded, you can run this thing expert belt, you can run this mixed. So that Ferrothorn thinks it's coming in to kind of eat up one Flare Blitz, make me take Rocky Helmet damage and stuff like that. But I'm running Overheat, so then I don't really have to worry because Arcanine gets the boost from its fire typing, and then I don't, like, I'm running all attack investments probably, so one shot the Ferrothorn, and then I'm good to go. Easy mode, I don't have to worry about my special attack. And it's just a great wall. It can't be burned. It's a great physical attacker that can't be burned because it's pure fire typing. And I can sneakily give it, Flash Fire for people who want to run like Will-O-Wisp and stuff like that. Because as soon as you Will-O-Wisp, I'm coming away with that Arcanine, and then Flash Fire, Flare Blitzing you to the next dimension, or Overheat if I'm really feeling it. Okay. Now, like I had said, we had OU Mons 2 that we could pick, and then we had 3 OU or UU Mons that I felt that we could pick. And I felt that at the point in the draft that there wasn't like Mons that I really, really wanted. Like, I debated Suicune, I debated other things, but I felt this Mon was so underrated because it definitely, I think, is in a tier that it shouldn't be in, and that is Ambipom. I think this thing is so good that it definitely should be OU, contention, BL. I think that with Technician, it's way too powerful. I understand, steel types and physical walls are a thing, but Ambipom is such a momentum bringer with Fake Out. You can do Fake Out Last Resort, you can even run special sets, like it gets Nasty Plot Baton Pass, it gets Water Pulse, it gets crazy moves on it, so like, there's a lot of things that you can really see from Ambipom that change games, and I really, really love Ambipom. I think it's one of the best designed Pokemons overall. I think it's just a fantastic Pokemon overall, and I was really glad that I was able to kind of jump down and drop my UU pick to scoop this up from RU, because I felt it's an extremely underrated Mon being all the way down in RU, and like that's kind of the thing of the draft. Like, along with Mamoswine as well, I felt Mamoswine definitely should be OU. I don't see any reason. It handles Dragon type so well, which are mostly all in OU, and if this thing handles things that are in OU, I feel it should be in OU. I mean, there's debate to that, but I feel it's definitely an OU Mon, and like I felt the grabbing Mons that were lower tier, just kind of scooping them up and getting them quick ahead of people was a good strategy, and it really helped benefit the team. So the next Mon that we have is Jellicent. And having that common water weakness, I really wanted something that had the water absorb ability. I was thinking about Suicune, but Suicune doesn't get, its like extra ability is water absorb, but that isn't released. So I felt Jellicent is a fantastic fill for that slot. I was debating Gastrodon as well, but I really didn't want that that super duper grass weakness, because the ground mons, I'm thinking Avatar in my head. I felt the ground mons on my team wouldn't really be benefited by a Mon that was quad weak to grass, and I felt Jellicent can eat up grass moves, and it does have like the dark weakness, but I'm not too worried about that. Like, in this type of thing, it's so bulky, I think it just covers a lot of things. It can be, as you can see from its stats down here, it has 105 special defense, which is fantastic, and then you can just buff up the defense, and overall it's just a big wall. It's basically a water absorb Chansey type idea. It's not as high in the HP department, but it's still very solid Mon. Gets access to Will-O-Wisp, Toxic, moves I love to use to whittle down people's walls, and just kind of change the whole match. It gets access to Taunt, Trick, so I can just run some crazy shenanigans with that and throw people off. Alright, and now moving on to the further part of the RU picks right here. I have Togetic. I thought it was a good Mon to be able to pick up. It's especially bulky. It can be really bulky, especially with the Eviolite on it. It can really just stall out things that I don't want to deal with, and it gets good coverage. It has fantastic typing in Fairy and Flying, so I don't have to worry about Earthquakes. My entire OU picks and UU picks don't really have to worry about that Earthquake threat because this thing is here. It gets access to Defog. Really good move. It gets the Serene Grace, I'm pretty sure, right? Yeah, it gets Serene Grace. Yeah, it gets Serene Grace and Super Luck, which are both abilities that kind of come through. I'm not really looking for hacks with this thing. I think it's more of a utility mon, which is kind of things I wanted. Like when I was going down to lower tiers, I wanted kind of things that would benefit the higher tier mons, because the higher tier mons I felt are going to be the ones that are going to be most pivotal on this team. So going down into the lower tiers, I felt there was a lot of good utility mons that don't get seen a lot, and I felt Togetic is pretty underrated. Like in its tier, it's devastating, but I think in the OU, UU type of standpoint, it can definitely do some work, and it's extremely underrated. At the time of picking this, it was, I believe, NU, so grabbing it was a steal of a pick, and it recently was moved up. So I kind of just snagged it just before the thing. I'm not getting penalized or anything for that, so I'm all good with Uxie. Uxie is such a Pokemon. This is a perfect kind of lead Pokemon with its stats. It has both defenses, so bulky. It's basically just a levitating, bulky, reverse Chansey, super bulk. Oh, I love this thing. It's just so bulky, and it kind of just it has this chill look to it. It gets access to Stealth Rocks. It gets access to a lot of moves. Now, a lot of people don't know that you can run this thing especially offensive, and it does do a decent amount of work. I mean, you can Expert Belt it, and it will, it doesn't pick up big kills, but it can come clutch in those closing moments. So I can throw that in as a mix-up, and I really love Uxie as a pick. I think it's a solid pick, and it really helps my team as a utility mon. Sock. Oh, seeing this mon not picked up. At this point I kind of pulled an Ambipom again. I could have picked one more RU, but I wasn't really feeling it. So that's why I kind of jumped down to NU so quickly with Uxie, and then dropping down again, and not picking another RU. I picked up Sock. With its sturdy ability and its impressive attack stat, it's so mind-blowing how good this one is. If I don't have rocks up against me, this thing comes in and it's getting a kill. Choice Banded, it gets a kill. Expert Belt, it possibly gets a kill. This thing can body mons just because they hit you and you immediately get to hit them back, because if your sturdy's not broken, you're living any one move. It's basically a Focus Sash without a Focus Sash, and it's just a very pivotal mon, and it gets such great coverage. It's overall, I'm not worried about anything coming in against this thing. If it's 1v1, I'd love to have Sock as the last Pokemon on the field. Even though it's NU, I think it gets great coverage, and against it, I don't see any mon that super duper worries me. Fairy types, but it gets I think it gets. I don't know if it gets Gunk Shot. I think it's Poison Jab that it gets. Gunk Shot? No, it's Poison Jab. But a Choice Banded Poison Jab destroys mons, and a lot of time Fairy types are a lot slower, maybe excluding Azumarill with the Aqua Jet priority and Diancie, but I already have Diancie on my team, so I'm not super worried about that. Poison Jab, Choice Banded is going to destroy, and then the following turn, I outspeed, bop, you're gone. So, yeah, that's pretty much Sock right there. And then this mon is such a good mon, extremely underrated. It gets Guts, and it also gets Scrappy. So, if I see a lot of Ghosts or a lot of mons immune to the normal typing, I will just be able to run the Scrappy and Boom Burst and destroy everything. Now, I like the ability probably Guts a little bit better, just because Swellow, in its stats, is a little bit more of a physical attacker than special attacker. I mean, 85 to 50. But I'm not excluding running a special set on this thing. I definitely think that's an option. Swallow is one of the fastest mons in the game. It outspeeds a Mega Glade. It outspeeds pretty much anything lower tier. So this thing is going to get off bounds and bounds amount of damage. Even steel types aren't really safe against this thing, because the facade is still going to do almost 50%, and I think that's just game-changing awesomeness, and I think Swallow is a solid pick. Brave Bird, U-Turn, Facade, all great coverage moves. No Mega Venusaurs, no grass types coming in on me. This thing is just a monster, and being, like, if you run the Burn or Toxic Orb set, oh, there's my phone. Lovely. And just everybody letting me know, okay. But yeah, no, I definitely think it's a super solid pick. And moving on, we have one of the mons that I really wanted to get. Zipstrika is a solid mon. I jumped down for this one, again, because I like to pick mons that I feel are extremely underrated, and Zipstrika is one of those. Its coverage abilities, it gets Lightning Rod, Motor Drive, and Sap Sipper. So depending on the matchup, it can be extremely versatile. It gets access to Volt Switch, and just like Swallow, it's extremely fast, base 116. Not as fast as Swallow, but it outspeeds like a whole bunch of things. Even Ambipom, I think, is one speed stat slower than this thing, and with access to physical and special moves, with its attack stat being 100 and its special attack being 80, I can run it both. I can even run it mixed, and I'm not worried about anything. Zipstrika, absolutely solid pick. The coverage moves on it, so great. Just extremely versatile pick. That's all I really have for that one. Meowstic. Now, thinking about Meowstic, I like the mon. I was a little hesitant to pick it, but I ended up picking it because I love the ability of Prankster. I think that Prankster screens is going to be great. Prankster, like hazards, is going to be great. Prankster, I think he gets T-Wave, right? Yeah, see, like, Prankster T-Wave is just going to be really annoying for my opponent. So that's just going to be something that people have to watch out for, and it's just one of those, like I said, when I was going into lower tiers, I just like those utility mons to kind of support. Because we have the power mons, and we have power mons down there, and then just utility mons to kind of clean up and prevent us from having to deal with all the shenanigans from my opponents. And Meowstic is definitely one of those solid mons. It's not going to be outspeed because it has the Prankster ability, and it's just kind of bop everything. Pretty much. And the final mon of the Sootopolis Scrubanines coming in is Stoutland. Stoutland is one of my absolute favorite Pokemon. It has such a cool design, and I love this Pokemon. It's so underrated. It's PU, but it is absolute power. It has the Intimidate ability, so I can run it as a wall against maybe lower tier mons. Being normal typing, it's the only thing I really have to worry about is going in against fighting types against it, but with the Intimidate ability, it's not really worried. Choice Banded, Silk Scarf this thing, and I'm pretty sure this thing gets Scrappy as well, kind of like our Swallow. Yeah, it does get Scrappy. So, against people, I'm going to be running normal type moves, and their ghost types can come in, bop, gone. And it's an extremely good mon. I think, like, stat-wise, 110. 110 is like the speed stat of our Diancie. 110 attack is just going to bop things. Nobody's safe from returns, nobody's safe from Giga Impacts from this thing. It's just going to be an absolute monster. So that's the draft. That's going to conclude this draft analysis. I feel, overall, as you can see from, one more click. As you can see from these three, jumps together, we have, I think, a really solid team. I think we have a good chance of winning this league. I think that everybody kind of has to look out for the Sootopolis Scrubanines, because I think we're going to definitely make some waves in this and bring a unique style of power and utility mix into this league, and people better be ready. That's going to be it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you did like this draft analysis, make sure to hit that like button down below and subscribe for more content. And I'm out.